Ready to go!
Alrighty, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of The Breakdown. In this episode, I'm going to be breaking down for you what I consider to be, for me, the ugliest arm wrestling I've ever seen. It is featuring BLM Brendan Lemon Mulvihill from Canada, training with Devon Larratt. Oh my goodness. We all hear about the King's Move controversies of late. We know it's a big thing. Humorous angles, elbows staying on pads. There's many factors that are causing dramas. And I've always traditionally been a fan of the King's Move, but not like this. I think what you're about to see is some of the worst arm wrestling technique there is. I don't like it at all. I really don't like it. Anyway, I'm going to attempt to break it down for you guys in the traditional sense that I do. Break it down in a way that is I'm going to talk about the technique. I'm talking about what on earth Brendan Lemon Mulvihill is trying to do here, what strengths and positions he's trying to achieve and why. You might think it's crazy too. Like I said, you're going to have to forgive 1,000,001 fouls on Brendan. You're going to have elbows are going to fly. Humorous angle will be too low on many occasions. Devon's working his hand. We're going to pardon Devon from any sort of criticisms here. Devon's working his hand, and he's working it well. But it's what Brandon's doing that is really just disturbing for me. Anyway, here it is. The ugliest arm wrestling I have ever seen. Alright, you can see straight away he's down on his humerus. He's lying flat on the tricep. The reason he's doing this is he's getting extra torque. When you go onto your humerus, despite looking like a weird garden gnome, look, massive elbow fouls there with the elbow going way up above the pad. The camera work is all over the shop. Look, I can't even keep up with this. It's so bad. I'm going to have to just let you guys watch it, and then I'm going to go back and pause and look. Oh my goodness, look at this stuff. Really inside of the elbow. I'll tell you a bit about that in a moment. Why Brendan goes to the inside of the elbow as Devon's working his hand. But oh my goodness, let's do that again. Okay, let's go back and do that again. This time I'm going to pause it at some moments because it's horrendous. There's so much about it that is horrendous that I was overwhelmed. I couldn't even keep up then. I wanted to tell you what was going on and I just couldn't because it was too ugly and it was too bad. So here we go. All right, I'm going to pause it, talk about it a little bit more. Now that you've seen it for the first time, let's watch it again and break it down. Alright, so right there, very first initiation from Brendan, you can see that he has actually opened his arm. When I say he's opened his arm, look, Devon was going to open his arm for him anyway, but he's gone with the momentum of Devon opening his arm, and he's transitioning from the point of his elbow to the inside of his elbow. This is going to allow him to transition fully onto the tricep. The reason why arm wrestlers like to go fully onto the tricep is because you can turn your palm and face it towards your opponent. Okay, what that does is really puts an awkward situation against their wrist flexion. Okay, when you look at your own pronation, in a traditional, classical arm wrestling sense, your limit of your pronation is here. Okay, that's as far as I can pronate. If I go to the inside of my arm, see where my fist is now. It's now facing that way. So we've got an extra almost 180 degrees of pronation, of active pronation. That's the real reason why anyone does the King's Hook, the King's Move, anything. It's for that extra pronation that happens when you transition onto the inside of your elbow. Anyway, let's watch it again. Keep going, Brendan. There's the transition, so you can see the pause. Look at that beautiful look on his face. He looks like, what does he look like there? I think he looks like, what is that animal? Is it a puffin or something? There's a bird in Antarctica or something, or somewhere that looks just like that. That's what BLM looks like right there. Anyway, he's on the inside of his elbow. Devon, classical arm wrestling right now, low grip, obviously with superior hand control, but he's working. So BLM's doing his best. He's on the inside of that elbow. His pronation potential is more now. And now when Devon goes sideways, he's going to turn with him and let his arm go and try to point his forearm in the direction as much as he can. So Brendan's going to get his chest really close to the table. Despite all the fouls, the elbows, and the humorous angles, he's going to get his chest close to the table so he can point as far away as he can possibly, which means that if Devon was to top roll, that it doesn't actually take his hand. It just means he can drag back against it. Okay, let's watch it again. Might see a surge from Devon. Okay, you're seeing lots of regrips and yanking on Devon's hand. He's trying to kind of work it and regrip and put some fatigue into Devon's hand whilst he's down there, using that extra pronation. Devon adding some top roll pressure there. You can see the forearm now pointing more, as I was saying, pointing more towards where Devon's going. But you can see Devon's got control of the pronator still. So Brennan's not strong enough yet to gas that hand on Devon. I don't think it's going to happen. More regrips, Devon gently rocking back and forth. Oh, look at that. Look at those beautiful elbows. Look at him now. What does he look like now in this pose? It's like a little boy, little lost boy, saying, "Hello, sir. Can I please hold your hand? Please, sir, don't worry about my elbow fouls and humorous angles. Please, sir, can I have some more?" So massive elbow fouls there. He's now on the halfway up the humerus on the edge of the pad. He's nowhere near the pad. He's like 2 inches off the pad, hovering above the pad, doing this. Wow, that's really nice. And the reason he's doing that, as I said, his whole game is this extra pronation, pointing. And then when the hand of Devon or the hand of the classical arm wrestler starts getting tired, you start pushing across, looking for regrips. Ugly. All right. Devon returning with a big top roll there. He said, like, enough of that. All right, I've given you enough space, BLM. Big return. Classical top roll there. You can see he's going to hit a wall. Devon's going to hit a bit of a wall there. And the reason is because Devon's given BLM enough room to play this silly game. And see where the contact point is on BLM. He's not on the point of the elbow. If BLM was on the point of the elbow, he would just blow apart right now and go down. But because he's on the inside of the elbow, he's got a little bit of a sticking point because the arm doesn't really go that way. It's easy to drag against it and prevent the down pressure, the final down pressure, where Devon is using classical muscle. So let's watch it a little bit more. Devon standing back up again. Oh, you can see BLM there. It's hard to see because the camera is really dodgy, but BLM is getting his chest, he's sticking his chest out towards the table, and he's doing that to he's starting to bleed and starting to gas himself, so he's actually trying to gain a bit of height. He's trying to push almost backwards and away, because as Devon's coming forward, he doesn't want to at all commit to anything classical. Brennan's doing everything within his power not to do any classical arm wrestling, and so he's coming closer, he's pushing it away and trying to survive, which we lose a bit of it. Comes back in, more classical top rolling from Devon, many fouls, humorous angles way below, elbows off, horrible crap. Now Devon, as Devon's hand is starting to get tired, because like I said, Devon's voluntarily given away all these positions and allowed himself to be backed into a technical corner, which makes his hand work hard. Now Devon's like, all right, as I'm starting to gas, I'm going to go down into my own King's move, which now Brendan's going to start to try to climb and play that game. And you can see him regripping. Oh, look, Brendan for half a second looked like a classical arm wrestler. Let's see if I can capture that. Let's go back. Let's see. Look at that. He's on the point of his elbow. Oh my goodness. He dared to be a classical arm wrestler for 1/4 of a second, but then, no, straight back down to that rubbish again. And that's where the video ends. So guys, I don't know if that helped you understand this rubbish arm wrestling from great BLM. I don't know. I tried. That's what's going on in terms of the biomechanics of it. It's what's going on in terms of why he's doing what he's doing and how that style of arm wrestling can prevent a stop. Like I said, there was this style of arm wrestling I believe to be horrible. I'm a big fan of classical, fundamental-based arm wrestling. This style of arm wrestling will get you wins, but it is fraught with so many fouls, and if referees are going to call things by the book. I don't know, there's probably 30 fouls that just happened if that was a refereed situation. So it's a horrible thing to develop. I guess it can develop some weird pressures and weird strengths, but there's an intuitiveness needed to be able to do it, which I'll give Brendan credit that he's an intuitive arm wrestler. But where BLM goes wrong is like Brendan will make comments like that. We heard Brendan's comment that he thinks he's number 3 in Canada and he wants everyone to prove him wrong, despite the podcast with Devon and Matt. I think they listed their top 5 and they didn't mention BLM. So shows that it was a bit of smoke and mirrors before. But anyway, BLM really rates himself as a technical arm wrestler. He says that he's a better arm wrestler than Ryan Espy. He says that he's a more complete arm wrestler than anyone in the middleweight division, yada, yada, yada. I don't think so. I don't think that being able to move well doing this makes a good technical arm wrestler. I think a good technical arm wrestler is someone that can dismantle the crap out of that and bust his arm. If I was to face BLM and he did that, he would either bust his arm up completely, or just simply that's pretty much it. Unless if he arm wrestled like that against me, his arm would either just be pinned decisively and look like a fool, or something would break in his arm. There'd be a connection in his forearm. We might get a separation of a flexor. We might get a separation or even a break in the elbow joint. But savage arm wrestling against that, side pressure, no forgiveness, venom, it's really risky. It's really dangerous. I know BLM will say, hey, I'm willing to break my arm to do this. Cool, but if you dared stay within the rules and not foul, you'd either just get pinned decisively or something to break. And if he came back, what I consider technical arm wrestling is if he actually stood back up and did what I've seen BLM do in the past, which is the classical arm wrestling. Back pressure, pronation, wrist flexion, side pressure, keeping form, staying tight, winning height, protecting rotation, protecting center, controlling the match, and fundamentally breaking down your opponent. This doesn't fundamentally break down your opponent. This is the attempt to use the biomechanics of your own body in the most obscure way possible. Like I said, it's within the rules, and within the rules you can do it. That's fine. Like I said, a good classical arm wrestler will just snap you in half if you try it. But it's within the rules, so I give him permission to do it, and that's cool. But like I said, what we saw here was not an example of staying within the rules. It was an example of 1,000 fouls, ugly arm wrestling. Yeah, there we go. I don't know. That's my breakdown on the ugliest arm wrestling I've ever seen. I don't know. You tell me what you think. Are you a fan of that? Do you want to see that? More of that? Do you want that gone? BLM, I know that he's going to see this video and going to ask for a match in Dubai. With me, it's not going to happen, BLM. I'm not going to be in Dubai. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I'm kind of speechless. I don't know how to wrap that one up. See you next time.
Yes, that's a man!